Moving to some national and international news now, U.S. officials have been in contact with Russian leaders today in an attempt to convince them to remove troops and equipment from the Ukrainian border.
Yes, Adam, this following weeks of threats as Ukraine fears Russia intends to invade the country. Rochester has a nice-sized Ukrainian community, many of them who have family overseas. Amel Elhel joins us now from the newsroom with more. Amel.
Adam, Teresa, today U.S. officials are urging the Russian foreign minister that invading Ukraine would be met with severe consequences. And for many Ukrainians living in Rochester, they fear for their family who reside in Ukraine, saying Russia's attempt to invade will only hurt them as an independent entity.
Darka Harishku is a first-generation American. Her parents were political refugees from Ukraine after the war.
Ukraine at this time, as we hear in the news, there's growing threats, and people are ready to fight and defend their country.
Harishku says while these issues are not always publicized to us in the West, these issues have been going on since 2014 when Russia invaded Ukraine, capturing the Crimean Peninsula.
Russia does not look at Ukraine as being a real and separate and sovereign and independent country. They look as though they're some kind of big brother to Ukraine. Well, I'm sorry, but we don't send tanks and armies and invade people who are our family.
Oleg Lebedko is the honorary consul of Ukraine in Rochester and has been advocating for the continuation of Ukrainian independence since Russia first started showing signs of attempted invasion.
If it's a full-scale war, this is going to be a very difficult time for not just for Ukraine, but for the whole Europe.
The U.S. says Russian President Vladimir Putin is deciding his next move as Russia continues to increase its military buildup with more than 100,000 forces now circling Ukraine, including nearby Belarus.
I've heard that they are checking the bomb shelters, preparing evacuation routes, but it's important for the public to remain calm and be ready. So hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Lebedko, along with others a part of the Ukrainian community in Rochester, met with Congressman Joe Morelli to discuss their fears. Morelli showed support for the Ukrainian community, saying he is, quote, committed to standing in solidarity with Ukraine and looks forward to continued discussions.
Harishku says the Ukrainian American community in Rochester will be planning a protest at some point in the near future. From the newsroom, Amel Elhel, News 8.
All right, Amel, thank you. Some tense times. Family members of embassy personnel in Ukraine were ordered out over the weekend. Meanwhile, President Biden has said that Russia derives much of its money from exporting natural gas to Europe, and he hinted that an invasion of Ukraine could cause new sanctions, which would cripple its exports.